everybody for being here, and especially for doing your job of sharing life-protecting information with the public. Protecting life remains our top priority as we work our way through extraordinarily and in many ways record-breaking rain. Once again, life-threatening catastrophic flooding remains our main risk tonight and overnight through the early morning hours. There will be an ongoing risk of some tornadoes. 59 counties are in flood watch. You're going to expect very heavy rain tonight in these large areas, the Permian Basin, the Concho Valley, the Edwards Plateau, the Trans-Pecos area. Also, some record numbers coming. And at the Nueces River near Uvalde, should be a new record set overnight. The old record for the river there was 24.88 feet back in 1996. Currently expected, and at the Nueces River near Uvalde, is 2 times the flow of Niagara Falls. At the Frio River, also near Uvalde, it'll be a top 5 crest, worse than 2007. At the Pedernales River, near Johnson City, a top 5 crest, more than 21.9 feet, worse than the 2019 event. At the Guadalupe River at Comfort, a top 3 crest behind the 1978 flood, higher than last year. There will be increased flooding in other areas like Laredo and the Rio Grande River. Cities that have been listed as most at risk for the next 24 hours would be Uvalde and Johnson City. We continue to deploy more personnel than what we talked about yesterday. Now approximately 2,350 state emergency responders, including Texas Task Force teams with support from game wardens, troopers, and out-of-state resources, are deployed. We've also deployed more than 1,400 different types of vehicles, different pieces of equipment, including swiftwater rescue boats, ambulance strike teams, Black Hawk helicopters, and high-profile vehicles. We've deployed more than 85 boats and 21 aircraft, more than 200 high-profile vehicles. We've already made more than 230 rescues. As I mentioned before, I listed some areas that are under threat. I want to list a little bit more. Much of the recent rainfall was concentrated in Uvalde, Kinney, Bandera, Kerr, and Gillespie counties, where accumulated rainfall totals of 6 to 13 inches were already observed. In addition to the flash flooding that this produces, there is dangerous and catastrophic river flooding that's occurring in the Guadalupe, Nueces, Frio, Medina, Pecos, Rio Grande, and San Antonio River basins. So far, there have been 2 reported deaths because of the flooding. One is a male near Comfort who was swept away in an RV. Another is a female in Uvalde who was swept away while driving on a road. And as far as I know, those are the only deaths that have occurred because of this. Going back, we're facing record-shattering rainfall that leads to very dangerous flooding. We want to do everything we possibly can to protect our lives. We are deploying the assets and resources necessary to assist local communities. Our local officials are doing an incredible job of responding to this. Individuals are taking responsibility for their own lives and avoiding things like driving into rushing waters. For the next 24 hours or so, everybody in Texas can save their own life by refraining from driving into high waters. Knowing this also, sometimes you're driving down a road and you kind of see some water ahead, and you have no idea how deep that water is. As you approach it, you may be thinking, well, this is shallow water. Next thing you know, you're getting swept away. For the next 24 hours, if you see water on a roadway, know that it's a potential life-threatening hazard that should be avoided. Together, all of us Texans can be diligent over the next 24 hours to make sure we avoid rising water or heading into water on roadways. If we can do that, we'll make it through this episode with nobody else losing their life. And I'd like to pass it to Chief Nimke with the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. As the Governor mentioned, very dynamic and dangerous situation. We are not out of this scenario yet. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service tell us an additional 10 to 15 inches of rain is possible over already wet areas and new areas north and west of the Kerrville area. The way that this weather pattern is setting up is difficult for the models that the meteorologists use to tell us exactly where it's going to fall and exactly how much is going to fall. So we're taking a very dynamic approach to moving resources and assets to be ahead of need. Last night or yesterday when we were in here, we talked about where the threat would be last night. We moved assets and resources to be around that. We will be doing the same thing again tonight. We have a plan, and we need your help in getting that plan articulated back out to the public like you did very well yesterday. Thank you for that. I want to continue to do that again. Additionally, as the Governor mentioned, we know we have communities in the Uvalde area that are cut off right now. We have 500,000 cases of MREs and 1 million bottles of water that are here and will start being delivered to them either through a high-profile vehicle or through military aircraft, and the General may talk about that in a minute. But we are hearing the needs that the community has, and we are meeting those needs. I got up this morning and I drove to Kerrville, and I went and I looked at the water there. I drove down through Center Point, out through Comfort, worked my way up, came back here. I want to thank the local officials that are out there and the first responders that are putting their life on the line to save others. I want to thank the state assets and state resources that are there. And most importantly, I want to thank the community. There was not a lot of people out there driving around. Thank you for getting that message out. This is how we'll continue to save lives together. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Next, General Seltzer.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. The Texas Military Department remains decisively engaged with over 750 personnel, 100 vehicles, and our crews have deployed a highly agile task force of 10 aircraft consisting of 8 UH-60 Blackhawks and 2 heavy-lift Chinook helicopters. They're forward staged across San Antonio, Austin, Hondo, Uvalde, Fredericksburg, and Kerrville to ensure rapid response times across the affected area. What that looks like, it's not just our 10 aircraft, it's multiple, numerous interagency aircraft. And what they're doing is flying until they need to refuel. They're finding one of these airfields that's clear of the weather, and then they're getting back into the flood fight. All aircraft and crews have been actively conducting low-altitude search and rescue and aerial reconnaissance over critical flood zones, specifically targeting those river basins that the Governor described. We're also working a plan to provide logistical support with our heavy lift CH-47s, just as Chief Kidd said, to move food and water to Uvalde and some of the surrounding communities. These heavy lift aircraft are also on standby in case we need to do more of a mass evacuation by air or patient movement by air. Speaking of patient movement, we are working with the Texas Emergency Medical Task Force to put medical personnel on our Black Hawk helicopters, and they are currently, as we speak, moving patients and transferring them from Uvalde to San Antonio, and we'll expand that operation as needed. Additionally, we've brought on, we've activated Air National Guard Tactical Air Control Party crews. These highly skilled airmen during time of war are the people that go in on the ground in austere environments and call in precision airstrikes on our enemies. What we use them for in flood response is they can go into a search and rescue area, help control the airspace, call in the helicopters, and also set up a landing zone for those helicopters. So we're using every available asset that we have to support this operation. And then just closing, it's a thought that's already been said twice, and I'm sure Mark will say it as well. We just recently rescued a gentleman and his dog from his truck, surrounded by floodwaters, using a helicopter and a rescue swimmer from Texas Task Force 1 on a hoist. Please, if you can avoid going out, and please don't enter water. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, and thank you to the National Guard.
Sure.
And now the Executive Director for the Texas Department of Transportation, Mark Williams.
Thank you, Governor. TxDOT continues to partner with our state agencies and local officials throughout the course of this event. We have over 500 personnel that are deployed actively right now in our flood response efforts. Those efforts extend all the way from Corpus Christi up through San Antonio, Laredo, out to El Paso, and all the way up to Odessa. Staff and crews continue 24-hour operations, including activities such as closing and barricading roadways, traffic control, debris and tree removal, and road and bridge damage assessment and repairs. We also have regional crews that have been staging and operating out of San Antonio, and we have other crews, additional crews that are pre-staged to follow up after this event as the floodwaters recede to help and assist with debris removal and repair work that we expect to occur. As of about 3:30 today, we had about 125 roadway sections around the state that are affected and impacted by floodwaters. 87 of those are currently closed, and we expect those numbers to move around as the water and the rain conditions continue overnight and into the rest of the week. One of those sections that has been impacted has been State Highway 16 Sidney Baker Bridge in Kerr County down in Kerrville. That bridge was struck by a barge. It remains closed except for emergency personnel. So until such time as our personnel can go in and do the assessment of that bridge to ensure that it is structurally stable. Very importantly, we want to emphasize that floodwaters may often hide debris, pavement damage, and washed out roads. When barricades are put in place, those mean to do not cross those barricades, even if it appears that the floodwaters have receded, even if it appears that the bridge is no longer underwater. Until our crews can go in and make an assessment, please do not cross the barricades. I want to continue to emphasize to the public to stay alert to conditions, as has been reported. These conditions can change very rapidly. I want to emphasize drivetexas.org, where we post our current road and bridge conditions. It's available to the media, available to the public to get an assessment. But stay alert, stay aware of conditions. If you must get out, driving is highly discouraged though during these rain events, and we would highly encourage people to stay home where possible and underscore the importance of do not drive into flooded roadways, flooded areas. Turn around, don't drown. It's a familiar refrain, but it's very important, and we have to continue to emphasize that. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much. I would like to draw everybody's attention to these three signs that are in front of me. I want to explain to you what they mean. Our fellow Texans and our fellow Americans, they're very generous, and when they see people going through challenges, they want to help out. If you look at this sign over here, it says rebuildtx.org. That's an online location you can go to for what's called Texas One, and it's a statewide recipient of donations that will ensure that whatever you donate will get into the right hands. The middle sign is for disasters. It provides updates on things like shelters, resources for those impacted by the storm. So go to disaster.texas.gov if you need update on anything about what's going on with the rainstorm. This last one over here, damage.tvem.texas.gov. That's where you would go to for making and providing damage assessments. As people begin to go through the recovery phase of this process, they want to come up with the damage assessments to be able to make claims as quickly as possible. With that, we'll take a few questions.
Governor, at what point does the focus begin shifting from rescue operations to recovery?
So the most important thing we can do right now during the immediacy of all the rain coming down is doing everything we can to protect human life. Human life remains the focus right now. The weather pattern is going to start moving out in the latter part of tomorrow and over the weekend. It will remain in far west Texas a little bit throughout the weekend, but for the most part, we will begin to focus on recovery, rebuilding, and things like that. There's going to be a slow process around the river basins because if you remember what I said yesterday, even though the rainfall may stop, the rivers will continue to rise for a little while that we have to remain cautious about. But that said, people can begin the process maybe as early as tomorrow to go through damage assessments, going to this location and identifying what their damages are, and working with local communities as well as with the state to begin the rebuilding process.
Governor, I wanted to ask, this is the second year in a row we've seen flooding devastate the Texas Hill Country. Is this seeming like a new norm?
So if you would, I wouldn't call it a new norm. If you go back, and I don't remember if I gave you the dates or not when I talked about the high crests, but for the Nueces River near Uvalde, the old high crest was 96. For the Freer River near Uvalde, it was 2007 old crest. For the Pedernales, it was 2019. For the Guadalupe River near Comfort, it was 1978. So throughout the decades, there have been different times when there was high rain in those areas. And so it just comes at different times of the course of history.
Governor, how did last year's flooding change the way the state responded to this year, if at all?
So obviously what happened last year was a warning to people on or near rivers, as well as to communities around those rivers, whether it be counties, cities, what have you, as well as to the state, that no one can be complacent when rain falls and waters rise. And we all have a sense of urgency with the rising water. We feel pretty good right now. We're not dealing with the same, what I call canyon type effect of what the water flow was through the Guadalupe where the campgrounds were. That said, we're not taking our eye off of that ball either. We're following the campgrounds very carefully to make sure all the kids in those campgrounds are going to be safe. But we are applying the lessons learned from last year to all these other river basins, making sure that we are preventing people from camping around these water areas, working with people early on. So we have with us people who are game wardens and serve in parks and wildlife. They helped evacuate and clear out of our campgrounds. How many people?
Over 80 people.
Over 80 people early on, before the waters begin to rise, knowing the weather was coming, knowing the danger that could occur. And so it's just, and now we're being very aggressive when the waters start coming down from the skies and start rising in our rivers.
And are you going to be pushing this next legislative session for any more reforms for emergency management, for floodplain development, or do you think we've got a good handle on it with the camp reforms from the last session?
Whenever we go through a series of passing laws like we did last session, we, after that, get to see how those laws are applied in current events like what we're going through right now. So what will happen next session is we will be taking a look at what occurred in this rain event, which is still too early to tell right now, and see how what we passed last session is applicable, or if we need to alter, modify, or add to what we did last session. Bottom line, yeah, we will take experiences gained from this flooding event and evaluate if further laws are needed or the existing laws need to be recalibrated.
After last year's July floods, Kerr County added flood warning sirens. Do you know if they were activated yesterday, last night?
Sure, so the person who knows most about exactly what happened with that is Chief Nimkit, and I'll be happy to tell you.
Yes, ma'am, they were. And remember, as you said, Kerr County owns and operates those systems, and we were led to believe that they activated them and they went off. I think they did 2 or 3 different notifications throughout the evening, in the morning, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Governor, can you repeat, the 80 was before the water started to rise? Can you repeat when they were evacuated?
Early on,
Okay.
to prevent any type of
Okay.
tragedy, so before the water started to rise.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
I guess
Go ahead.
lastly, sorry, yesterday you said that this could become a historic flooding event. What are you seeing today that's concerning you the most?
Well, for one, it has already been a historic flooding event, unfortunately. But what concerns me most are the communities identified that are gonna be most at risk tonight. Once again, Uvalde is getting it from all sides, and we're very concerned about the people of Uvalde. I would say there's a community where the people are most at risk, it would be Uvalde, and property most at risk in that location, as well as Johnson City tonight. The people in that area need to be very cautious. And when I say that, know that every team member of every organization and agency up here with me right now, and others who are not with me right now, they're working in all of those communities to make sure everybody's being kept safe. But I just want to let you know that the most at-risk communities are those I just identified for you.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.